Hello and welcome to another Dominion League match. This time we're doing kaplane versus topher1588, which is the last match for both of these players in B2 division. I've thrown the standings up onto the screen. I'll take them off in a second, but I just wanted to show how tight they are. You can see that Topher is in the lead right now. If kaplane manages to go 5-1 in this match, he will tie Topher up. Even if he doesn't, and he's unlikely to promote, he could still pull Topher down into a tie with Brian or Akuchi, and Brian and Akuchi still have a match left. So there's a lot of excitement in this division, which is one of the reasons I wanted to record this match. All right, so looking at this board, we have Ratcatcher and Rays for trashing, Old Witch for junking. Haggler's always an option for gains, although you've also got Spices for plus buy and Villa for plus buy, so you don't necessarily need to do that. Let's see. Haggler buying Spices and gaining Villa could be an interesting thing to keep a turn going. With the Old Witch, I could see a Villa and Old Witch draw engine working out okay. It's not amazing, but with Spices, you don't necessarily need to reliably draw your deck, but just draw a good number of cards, get some buys, and buy some stuff. So Topher got the 5-2 and opened with an Old Witch. That should be quite strong. And then got a raise. And kaplane opens Fool raise. I don't know if I've ever had the option of choosing between raise and Ratcatcher before. Certainly raise is a little bit faster because you don't have to put it onto the mat. But Ratcatcher is and raise is a better state trasher, but Ratcatcher is a better copper trasher. So I imagine we'll see both players pick up a Ratcatcher as well. Kaplane's already done so. Topher gets a second Old Witch, so he's in a pretty strong position. Do they each have Fools? Yeah, looks like they do. That's also something that I haven't really seen before, is both players getting Fools and actually trading Lost in the Woods back and forth. So I imagine, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Get the Villa to be able to play the Fool and take Lost in the Woods, and maybe that makes the buy phase a little better too. So what did he get? Plus card, trash, and oh, that's not impressive at all. Not impressive at all. What was the first one? Was plus one card at the end of the turn. Yeah, so that one's fine, but that's kind of two wasted boons. But yeah, I'm expecting this to basically be Villa, Old Witch, and Spices, plus the Trashers. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see some patricians picked up on two cost buys once both players feel like they've gotten enough out of the Ratcatcher and Raise. But Spices, the coin tokens from Spices are really nice. The buy from Spices is also really nice. Of course, you can get the plus buy from Villa as well. So what's the trash situation? 3 estates trashed, 1 curse trashed. I assume kaplane has all of the curses. Topher certainly has at most one. So pretty uninspiring turn here for kaplane from a building standpoint, but he does thin some cards, which is important. Just wonder how long he's going to have to spend doing that to get rid of those curses while Topher is racing out ahead, putting good cards into his deck. Definitely the 5-2 is very strong on this board. And yeah, I think that the draw is definitely not reliable enough to not want to just play the lucky coin all the time. I think, you know, you're gonna play. They're gonna pick up villas when they need to after playing Old Witch terminally, and pick up as many Old Witches as they can just for getting the draw. But I don't expect either player to ever get to the point where they're really drawing their deck. And silvers are pretty good, especially when you get an increased hand size, and with the abundance of plus buy, probably we won't actually see any spices purchased until the Old Witches are mostly out or entirely out, but like here I'm although I could see Old Witch spices, yeah, okay. So that's what Topher does, which also makes sense. And actually with the curse, oh, okay, kaplane resigns. Yeah, that's reasonable. That he was falling pretty far behind. Oop, no. So yeah, I mean, pretty straightforward game. Topher had such a strong advantage on the opening that it was just going to be really difficult for kaplane to catch up. All right, so this time we have familiar. We got rats and hideout for trashing. There's also fortress. I mean, saying rats is for trashing, you know, obviously it's. But with hideout in the kingdom, maybe you could make use of the rats, hideout and fortress, or more likely you just get some hideouts and some fortresses, and at some point you just trash fortress with your hideout. Of course, hideout is pretty bad at trashing green, which is one reason you might consider getting like a rats maybe. There's also mint for copper trashing. So with all that in mind, oh, and there's alms. Yeah, so you can open 4/4, which is pretty nice. So you can do something like hideout potion if you want to. So with all that in mind, the question I think is, do you want the potion? And the nice thing about potion is if you miss 3p for familiar, you get to 2p for apothecary. And while apothecary isn't necessarily critical on this board because there is copper trashing and potentially plentiful copper trashing with mint, it's still good early, and B, it can actually set up a mint, so that's also nice. So kaplane goes hideout rats, and so does Topher. So I guess they don't agree with me about the potion. Although I mean, I don't know that I necessarily disagree with their opening. I just think potion is worthy of consideration. So another question is, do you avoid trashing estates with hideout, like, in order to target trashing them with rats? You probably do. Oh, I didn't even notice advanced rats. Yeah, that's also good. So you can rats away the estates, and then you can advance the rats into what? Um, well, one of them turns into an outpost, for sure. You can also turn one of them into a mint, and that's really strong. No, wait. No, it's not. Just kidding. Well, no, it's fine. I was thinking, I don't know why I was thinking that, like, because mint trashes the treasures you haven't played anyway. I mean, you can play the treasures. I guess, the nice thing is that you can mint with less than 5. So it is strong in that sense. Although, is it when you buy this? Oh, it's when you buy this. Okay, never mind. I'm just completely wrong about this. But regardless, you can advance into Outpost. You can advance into Throne Room, which is a good card. You can advance into Fortress, which is a good card. It is a little limited. There's not, an abundance of strong 5s on the board, obviously. And you can't advance into City Quarter. You can advance into Farmer's Market, which is reasonable, because you're going to end up needing those. Although, apparently 5 of those have been purchased while I've been talking, which is kind of crazy. Topher clinches with 4 wins here. Is that true? It might actually only be 3. So he's +4. Brian, if Brian sweeps Akuchi, he goes to +5. So Topher needs to get to +6 to clinch. So I think that means he has to win 5 to clinch, unless he has the tiebreaker. Yeah, so I wasn't paying close enough attention to what was going on to know why that so many of these farmers markets have been purchased. If it's just so that you can do like alms advance sort of thing, makes sense. And you can also buy city quarters. Though it's hard to pay off the debt if you're not playing treasure. Although the farmers market generates some coins. Okay, so apparently Topher does have the tiebreaker over Brian, so he can clinch with 4 wins. Good to know. That is a lot of farmers markets. One might say too many farmers markets. One might say that. So I guess that's what he does here, though, is like advance alms and maybe a city quarter if he wants it. I haven't been paying close enough attention to the deck composition to know whether that's a good idea. Seems sad to trash rats with hideout and then not get any draw out of it, but you got Well, it seems maybe kaplane just has too many rats. Oh, apparently not. Getting more of them. What turn is it? Turn 9. Three farmers markets. Okay, well, apparently, I don't know. I've never seen this aggressive early farmers market pile thing. I assume there's a reason behind it that I don't understand. Maybe it's just that you can, you can only play the farmers market so many times before they're all gone, and if you want to be able to hang on to plus buy longer than your opponent, then you need to have more of them or something. I don't know. I really don't know what the logic is for why that's so important. So, like, you can definitely throw in some farmers markets here. And I guess maybe the logic is just that you're going to pile everything else out anyway very quickly, so the farmers market points are good enough to win the game rather than putting any green cards in your deck. Certainly looks like that's the direction we're headed. I think at this point kaplane can pile the rats. The problem is that he can't get another pile this turn, and then he has a bunch more rats. I think he wants to hold on to his last rat so that he can gain rats on his outpost turn. So 2 throne rooms. Yeah, okay, so exactly what this guy was saying. He picks up 4 throne rooms, but does not kick off on this turn. Alms for estates. Huh. I wonder why. Is the logic there that Topher might double province? Not sure why else that would be necessary. This game definitely is doing some things that I am not familiar with. I don't think I've ever seen advance and alms on the same board. Alright, well, while Topher is getting his food, what are his options at this point? He can... I mean, he can throw in rats and trash a couple coppers. And then that lowers the rats pile to 1, and there's only 1 throne room left. So how does he get points? I mean, farmers market's obviously part of the equation. And he does have his outposts. So if he throws rats, he'll have... Oh, he didn't throw in rats. Maybe he wants to like throw in market or something. That would make sense. It's not a ton of victory points though. Like you can only ever gain per like a market play. The throne room doesn't actually affect that because it depends on what position the pile is in. Actually, if you throw a market and the first play of it is to gain points in trash, do you... I guess you do still get the effect of the card. Advances a rats into the last throne room, so he's going to need to win the game on his outpost turn, or at least get a bunch of points. Whoa, city quarter. I mean, I guess... Oh... So had he not bought the city quarter, he could have... He still would have been short of buying another province. So it may be that was worth it just to increase his chances of kicking off. What a weird game. If he had grabbed an estate, then he would have been a duchy away from a tie. But in fairness, I don't know that he had a reasonable shot at a tie. Whether, like if he picks up a duchy on his outpost turn, how likely is it that kaplane can't grab the last rats, which he doesn't even need to, spend a buy or any money on. He can just play the rats he already has in hand. Oh. Apparently we've lost our players. But yeah, he wouldn't have had the... He wouldn't have needed to spend any money or buy on it, or so he wouldn't have needed to even use advance or alms necessarily. And then he just needs to pick up 1 point. So okay, well now... Okay, kaplane is back. Hopefully we'll have a table soon. There is some kind of bug where if you have enough spectators in a match, it can cause problems with the at the end of the game, it can kick players or cause them to be unable to continue playing, but we don't have that many spectators, so you wouldn't think that would be the problem here. Okay, I do not need to be the host. What is going on? Well, in the meantime, kaplane is still in the running for promotion with the win, but he does need to win out bring this back up for a second. So he needs to go +4 in this match to pull into a tie with Topher. And he would win the tiebreaker by virtue of having won the match itself. Oh, maybe we're playing again. So what happened at the end of that game, I do not know. Oh, he meant like at the end of the game, not after the game. Okay, we got Topher back. Let's go. Lord Reddington's still in the play order. Boy, this is a mess. Yeah, I don't either, because the rat is still listed in the player order. Disaster. Alright, we're almost there. And we are off. Okay, finally. So we certainly have draw, and oh, we do have Ghost Town. Okay. So you can do, oh, and Coin of the Realm. Okay, yeah, you can do things on this board. So you can do fun stuff with Replace. You can do fun stuff with drawing lots of cards, maybe play a Horse Traders. One thing you can't do is thin. But you, miser is so rarely the right answer. It is a way to thin. I said you couldn't thin. I mean, you can thin with miser, but you can't thin in a way that is like good. I assume they'll both open with star chart. Star chart's really good. Does star chart make miser more reasonable? It seems like it might. I don't know why Freaky doesn't like star chart. Star chart's so good. Maybe he just thinks it's boring or something. Anyway. So Topher gets a patrol as his first 5, which is a little surprising to me. Not sure what the goal of that is. If he's just anticipating buying a ghost town on the next turn. I guess that makes sense. Buy a ghost town, you star chart the patrol, you draw your horse traders. That's pretty good. Kaplane goes with the rabble, which is worse draw, but does attack, of course. I think if you are going to go with the draw, I think I like the patrol play a little bit better. So on 8, what are you doing? Getting another ghost town, I would assume. And either another draw card or maybe a replace. There's the ghost town. Two ghost towns. Okay, that's also reasonable. I mean, he doesn't need that much terminal space yet, but he's going to. Although you could argue that he shouldn't have bothered until he needed it. But then again, if he bought another terminal, then he would have needed it, so. Same situation for Kaplane, but he got through slightly less of his deck. That is the advantage of picking up a patrol. And Topher had 2 green cards in his hand, so he got a somewhat unlucky distribution from that perspective. There's ghost town number 1, and there's the replace. Okay, so a little more differentiation. I do like the replace. Oh, this is the other thing that's really nice about Patrol is that you can leverage this star chart even more because Patrol searches through so many cards. I guess the log doesn't actually show him top decking with star chart, so I didn't get to see what he top decked in the mid-turn shuffle. So this time just buys 1 ghost town. Kaplane has a ghost town in hand. This doesn't necessarily. Well, he probably does want another ghost town. Although, yeah, he's got to replace in those next 5 cards. He's going to want to top deck his rabble with the star chart. Off the ghost town draw. Ghost towns are going to run very quickly. And then these turns are going to get less reliable. Because you're going to have to actually draw your ghost towns, not just buy them. 3 ghost towns in hand for Topher. That's very nice. Picks up a rabble. That makes sense. I would like to see him get a replace, though. Wait, did he not top deck a draw card? Weird. I guess he top decked the horse traders? I don't quite understand that. I don't at all understand that. Alright, replace estate into ghost town. That's certainly nice. You don't need to spend a buy on it. Although with only 7, you probably, well, you could go, I guess you could go like settlers and a 5 cost. Or coin of the realm. Ghost town, coin of the realm. Okay, that seems a little like overkill to me, but I mean, he probably just wanted to grab the last ghost town while it was still there, so it's probably actually good. So Topher did manage to find his rabble, but not his patrol, which I guess is fine. He wasn't going to get a whole lot of more economy if he'd had the patrol, and now he's got it top decked for next turn. Coin of the realm, hunting grounds. He still doesn't have a replace. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and say that that should have been a replace, because replace is really good. Only way to do mid-turn gaining. I'm not sure that they have the draw to make use of that yet, but and then only way to get rid of your estates. He does have the patrol, but still, you want to get rid of those estates. Even if you just turn them into settlers or coins of the realm, it's still value. Gains another horse traders. Okay, so I guess Topher is just ignoring replace in favor of plus buy. Which I do not agree with, but his deck is otherwise, I think, a little stronger than Kaplane's. I didn't actually track what the Ghost Town split was, but I did like that he picked up a patrol. And in general, he's certainly got more draw than Kaplane. He's also got, oh, I guess they've each got a coin of the realm on the mat. So here, assume Kaplane's thinking about what he wants to do with his replace. So if he didn't play it, he'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 coins. He only has 6 if he does play it, but that's worth it. You're not going to get more mileage out of the 1 coin than you are out of playing the replace, so I think you just discard estate copper. So do you gain settlers, or coin of the realm, or silver, or horse traders? Okay. I don't know if Kaplane has the... Well, I know... I'm confident that Kaplane does not have the draw to support... Oh, horse traders is +3. Okay, he still has 7. Anyway, I'm confident Kaplane does not have the draw to support another horse traders. Coin of the realm, rabble. Okay. I mean, once he's thinned his estates, there's no real advantage to patrol, so that's fine. Though there's an argument for just getting hunting grounds instead, depending on whether he needs the coin. Especially because at some point, replace hunting grounds is super good. You can turn hunting grounds into a province, gain a duchy, which is 9 points, and you give your opponent a curse, so it's like 10 points. Really nice. Meanwhile, this is a pretty good looking turn for Topher. Discards an estate and a rabble, discards 2 estates. So you didn't get to play the rabble attack. But the rabble attack doesn't do a whole lot to kaplane at this point in any case. Oh, I guess the other reason to go with the multiple host traders is the reaction. If you figure they're going to play Rabble every turn anyway, then that is going to increase your hand size. Oh, meanwhile, Topher did pick up a replace last turn, so I like that. And he also got another hunting grounds, which I also like. Kaplane got a hunting grounds. I like that too. So Topher actually does have the draw to do gain and play stuff, thanks to his Coin of the Realm, although combining that with also playing his horse traders could be a little awkward. It might be better off just drawing those cards and not playing the second draw card, depending on what he wants to use his replace on. Actually, never mind. He just doesn't have the actions. I'm just wrong. Yeah, good to get another Coin of the Realm, because actions are still in limited supply for sure. What to buy here? I wouldn't mind seeing another hunting grounds. I wouldn't mind seeing another Coin of the Realm, even though it's... Okay, that works. Province coin. The thing with hunting grounds is you're going to want more of them than you actually necessarily need to play for the reason of being able to replace them. If every time you want to play your replace, you have to draw it with all your hunting grounds first, then you never get to replace the hunting grounds. So Kaplane's got 3 actions and still 2 coins on the mat, so he doesn't have any action issues, but he's run out of draw. Yeah, it has seemed like he's a draw card short. Maybe he'll pick up another hunting grounds here. Could potentially replace a state into another coin or a settlers. Nice thing about settlers is you can discard coppers with horse traders and then draw them back up. It's not amazing, but it's better than having an estate in your deck. Oh, okay. Top deck to hunting grounds that way, which is pretty good. And I guess if he wasn't going to play that horse traders anyway, though he actually could have. But it wouldn't have gained him a lot of money because he would have just been discarding copper anyway. Gold settlers. Does Kaplane still have 2 coins on his mat? Yeah, so he didn't really need another one. Topher has 1. So I think replace estate into settlers looks good here again. Replace horse traders into hunting grounds is also strong, but Topher has a little bit more draw to begin with and can also afford to play both of his horse traders. Though again, I mean, he doesn't get a ton of money out of it. Oh, replace province into province. Okay. I was not thinking about that. But yeah, I mean, it's getting to the point where, like, did he really need that coin? He's got 3 on the mat. Is he gonna have enough terminals that he wants to play that's gonna make a difference? If he wants to pick up another replace, maybe. Just think they're actually getting to the point where the settlers would help out the horse traders quite a bit. So he did pick up another replace though, so that's probably why I wanted the other coin. Still, 3 coins on the mat is a lot. Rabble revealing that Topher might well have a dud turn coming up, although he does have 2 ghost hounds in play too, so he's going to draw 6 cards, and that's only 3 of them that are not helpful. Yeah, look at that settler's value. Bam. So I assume Kaplan is going to want to replace that curse. Question is, coin of the realm, settlers, or possibly a state just to give out a curse. Well, and he also gets battlefield points for it, which if it weren't for that, I would say nah. But as it is, you know, the battlefield points are definitely relevant. How is it that Topher has 2 provinces, 4 VP, and only 12 points? Oh, he doesn't have 2 provinces. He milled 1. That's how. So kaplane will have 2 coins on the mat, or 3 if this card is 1, which is probably fine. So yeah, I think taking okay, replace hunting grounds. That certainly will do work. Gain 4 battlefield points from that, and does he have enough? I mean, at this point, I think you buy province, province duchy, and grab the rest of the battlefield points. Yeah, that's a strong option. I didn't think about that, but I like to play. Treasure's a ghost town. I don't think I like that. Getting more draw is nice, but I think I'd rather replace, like, maybe horse traders into hunting grounds. Those ghost towns are useful. Because you're not really making... Well, he could make use of all 3 buys here, but just barely. Okay, picks up another hunting grounds. I think that's correct. He's got the 2 replaces, so he can potentially 3rd replace. That's going to be really hard to support without that ghost town. I mean, he does have a bunch of coins of the realm. What do you top deck here? Copper? So that the rabble kicks it off the top of your deck? I think that's probably what you do. It looks like that's what he did. So I think kaplane should just go ahead and buy a province, and I would say settlers. He's got 3 coins on the mat. Although, well, there's not really a pile that's in a position to run after coin, so trying to pile those doesn't seem super relevant. I was like, if kaplane picks up another province, then even if Topher picks up the last 3 on this turn, which, I mean, he's trying to position himself to do with the replaces in the hunting grounds, but he's still not very likely to actually pull it off. But if he does, he's still behind. And moreover, he's still behind by a full duchy, if I'm not mistaken. So right now he's behind by 15, which is 2 provinces and a duchy. He'd be behind by 3 provinces and a duchy. So in order for kaplane to catch up, he would need 3 provinces, a duchy, and an estate, which is, I mean, I don't know that kaplane's deck has that kind of burst potential. And kaplane wins a tie. Topher does not. Topher went first, so I think it's a pretty clear province buy. I mean, I guess you could argue for an estate over the settlers, but I don't think that's really necessary. Kaplane goes for the hunting grounds. That seems unnecessarily cautious to me. It's like, the thing is, if you, from Kaplane's perspective, if you buy, even if you don't have amazing turns, if you can buy one province that turn and one province the next turn, there's no way Topher can catch up. And so Topher has to have his big turn this turn in order for you to lose. And it has to be a really big turn, much bigger than his deck has been suggesting that it can pull off. It's like, yeah, now if Topher has the capacity to do the big turn and he hits it, then if he can't empty all 4 provinces, then Kaplane has a turn in which he can do like province duchy or something, fine. But I just don't think that's very likely, and I think this way you give Topher more time to, you know, he can pick up like a province or two and maybe he can grab a duchy, and then the following turn, you know, if Kaplane can only empty the one province again, then Topher has spread out his ability to gain duchies across 2 turns and maybe can inch past Kaplane. Meanwhile, what should Topher actually do here? Give out curses? Well, that's reasonable, certainly. But what else? I mean, replacing ghost towns into duchies does have the advantage that it gives you duchies. And he does need some duchies. Okay, but goes for the draw. There's a lot of not scoring points going on here. Okay. So there he does grab a duchy. Now I assume here he'll go ahead and buy a province. No. Man. Okay. I guess he's still trying to aim for the big turn. In my mind, that's all the more reason that Kaplane should have just gotten a province last turn. Topher can't get a 4 province turn if you take a province last turn. But I also think that from Topher's perspective, he needs to try to spread out the gains, and like it's going to be so hard for his deck to do it all at once because he needs to play the hunting grounds for draw. I guess I wasn't, in fairness to Kaplane, I wasn't accounting for the duchies that Topher would potentially gain by trashing the hunting grounds. So if Topher had managed to trash 2 or 3 hunting grounds into province, he would have won. But I do stand by the assessment that he wasn't very likely to actually manage that. Meanwhile, Kaplane did go ahead and buy a province, so he's got a 14-point lead now. Didn't manage to pull any of his replaces, and now his starting hand looks pretty poor, although he does have 3 ghost towns in play. see, how many coins does Topher have on the mat? Only 2. Yeah, I mean this is just so hard to kick off. Like you need to have all of the non-hunting grounds draw lined up. You need to have enough coins and ghost towns ready to go, and not have like spent them on a previous turn. Just a really difficult situation to try to navigate. Like the deck can do it. Okay, well, apparently the chat thinks he's going to do it. He does have 2 hunting grounds to replace into provinces. So this is kind of what I was talking about, though, where if kaplane had bought another province the turn before last, he'd have had... That had been one province that Topher could not have gotten. As it turns out, it looks like Topher still could have won. Because he won by more than 12 points. But kaplane, I think, would have been in a better position, and yeah. All right. I'll stop talking about that now. Okay, so here, well, first of all, that is the end of kaplane's chances to promote. Though the division standings are still very much open for the who is it? Topher, Brian, and Akuchi also all have reasonable chances at this point. I mean, Topher certainly has the best chance, but they're all still in the running. kaplane can make it much more interesting if he can win some more of these games. So we've got Seahag and Urchin. Oh, Topher opens with a 5-2. I don't think that's particularly good on this board. Well, it's definitely not good with Goat. kaplane opens Seahag Silver. Interesting. With Urchin on the board, Seahag doesn't seem very strong to me. And I'm surprised if you are going to open Seahag that you wouldn't also want an Urchin for potentially being able to collide with the Seahag and being able to, have a better chance of not having it miss the shuffle as well. I mean, I don't know what you're really trying to hit with silver other than palace points, I guess. Huh. Topher declined to play his Urchin. I guess that's because he was going to trigger... Oh, no, that's not why. He wanted to advance his Urchin. Interesting. Okay. Well, Ghost Ship is certainly a good card. I'm just a little surprised at... I guess... I I should have thought about the fact that they have goat. I guess you don't really need mercenary in a game with goat, do you? One way you can tell these players are better than me is it takes me a lot longer to reach some of the same conclusions that they do. Although Topher did just in fact pick up a mercenary, but I guess that the point is that the urgency is a lot lower for getting there. You don't need to do the urchin thing, which is honestly kind of a sad opening, even though it's often the right opening. Because if you don't collide them, it's like you haven't really accomplished a whole lot. So the combination of urchin and ghost ship should definitely make this game, I mean, to say nothing of mercenary, but should definitely make this game slow and painful. In theory, hirelings could help offset that. Hireling in general is pretty slow to get going, of course. But there is enough trashing that maybe at some point they actually become pretty quick. You can, buy them and play them within back-to-back turns. And as far as increasing your hand size, you don't need as much village support doing that versus getting more ghost ships. So that is probably good as long as there's time. So kaplane finally grabs a mercenary. Swashbuckler. And wait, did Topher just decline to play his mercenary? I know it was going to trigger a shuffle, but you want to trash those cards. I don't know about that. Now, Swashbuckler should be very nice to have with Palace in play if you can actually get the treasure chest. But given how thin the decks are, that might not be super likely. Like, it's certainly not going to happen here. Of course, even if you never do that, it's always just a smithy, which, you can't complain about that. Alright, so Topher wanting some plus buy, picks up a farmer's market. Seems reasonable. This is not going to be a statement about this game specifically, but I think Pixie is actually a really high skill card. Deciding when to trash the Pixie is definitely not easy to figure out. Oh, bye-bye, goat. Poor goat. I I don't I don't know if I like that insofar as I'd rather have the goat in my deck in the long run than the mercenary. Oh, there's advance. You can advance the mercenary. That's better than having a goat. Okay, I stand corrected. Anyway, yeah, Pixie. Definitely definitely a skill test card. Also an empty pile. And there's only 5 walled villages left. So only 6 curses. Though I don't know if they're going to continue to empty quickly, or if the chat, as the chat is suggesting, Kaplane's going to give up on the cursing line. Oh, Topher has a coffers, which suggests he activated his swashbuckler. I didn't notice that happen. And he doesn't appear to have the treasure chest. Oh, never mind. You have to get, right, you have to get 4 coffers. That takes forever. Yeah, I haven't played with swashbuckler much. I keep saying that about different cards. But well, he activated it again. He's halfway there. Advancing Will-O-Wisp. Probably a good idea. I do like Will-O-Wisp, but yeah, I mean, in the long run, you shouldn't have any cards costing 2 or less in your deck anyway. Alright, so Wild Villages are about to pile. Possibly... No. I was going to say possibly Kaplane will empty them right here. But he did not. Topher did manage to get the treasure chest, so he's going to start picking up some palace points. And he also just got the farmer's market points. So the pile situation is a little scary for Kaplane right now. He isn't going to be getting the treasure chest anytime soon. Of course, Topher's also almost out of coppers, and he's probably not going to buy any, so maybe he actually isn't going to get any palace points. But hey, gold's still a good card. What just... Oh, start of the buy phase. It's really weird that it... Okay, so the gain of gold here is off the treasure chest, but for whatever reason, instead of it showing as like something that's happening independent of an action, it's like as part of the mercenary. It looked like plays a mercenary, trashes a cursing copper, gets +2, and gains a gold. Like, wow, mercenary's even better now. No, that's not what happens, but it looked like it. Of course, Topher could expend some buys to pick up some coppers right at the end of the game for some additional points. You know, it's like buying a duchy that is slightly better than a duchy, so, and cheaper, a lot cheaper. So still pretty nice. Okay, so kaplane is indeed advancing the sea hag. Still seems like he's pretty behind. Assume the play here is Ghost Ship Farmer's Market. Oh, look, Farmer's Market gains golds now. Amazing. That's so much better. So, what should Topher be doing here? He could go like Silver Province, or Silver Farm, or sorry, Province Farmers Market. The reason they pick up a silver is because he's going to gain another gold next turn. But I'm guessing he... Oh, advance. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Advance into the farmer's market, keep the coin token. Yeah, no, that's better. So... And he gets the mercenary out of his deck. That's an unfortunate and awkward draw for kaplane. Not really looking to trash silvers, but no choice. Forest Gift is pretty good, but it's not really the right timing for it for kaplane. Topher would have loved to have it. I don't know if he has any pixies left. How many pixies are in the trash? 8. Yeah, he doesn't. So what do you do if you're kaplane? I mean, you can obviously buy a province, but that's still losing. Well, that's what he does. Yeah, it just seems like losing to me. But maybe he'll figure something out. Especially because actually he needed the mercenary coins to get to 8, and he won't have those going forward. So Topher can just double province here. That's pretty good. I could see him also wanting to advance with his third buy, advance the Will-O-Wisp. It's not like it's drawing anything. Although I don't... Well, I guess he'd be reasonable to advance it to another farmer's market. Yep. That's also driving the piles down, and with the lead that he has he can potentially just end it on farmers markets next turn. Yeah, I don't really see a line for kaplane at this point. I think I would just resign. I don't resign much, but this just looks hopeless. Oh, I hadn't noticed that Topher drew a really... Wait. Did Topher top deck 2 walled villages? Oh, I guess he might as well have done because he wasn't... Yeah, no, that makes sense. But yeah, he has a really bad turn coming up. So maybe... maybe kaplane has some kind of a shot. That mercenary trash doesn't seem like the best move to me. I'm guessing kaplane just realized that he can't afford to be lowering the farmers markets. Though, I don't know what else he's supposed to do particularly. Is he undoing all the way to... Oh, never mind. He just didn't play his coffers. Okay. So I think here Topher just buys a copper. Duchy? Why? Copper better. Alright, so meanwhile, kaplane drew his deck, but he has no money. This is one of the reasons I wouldn't have done the trashing with the mercenary. I mean, I guess he needed to be able to hit province last turn, but like yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I would have just resigned anyway. Like he's just like so far behind. Gets a Seag again. What? I mean, I guess you want to slow Topher down, but and it's not like you can advance into something that directly gives you money, other than maybe Noble Brigand, or yeah, that which you know is obviously not amazing. All right, well it's over. Topher wins. Yeah, I agree with the the assessment that the early Seahag was a mistake. Topher says treasure chest almost killed me that game. I don't agree with that at all. Treasure chest was why he could buy stuff. Like, it was, yeah, it was really good. Like, yeah, sure, you didn't draw your deck the one time. Like, whatever. You got way out ahead because of all the points that you could buy with the money that you had from the golds. It was very good. I guess you just gotta buy points eventually, yeah. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. The Flames Pixie is what really killed me. I'm not sure what he's referring to. I didn't notice. Oh, did Topher get that? Yeah, I mean, he had Goat, and it was gonna have Mercenary. Like, I don't really think it's fair to blame Flames Gift. All right. So one more win for Topher, and he locks up promotion, which I think would be disappointing because I think it's much more hype if the Akuchi-Brian matchup has a chance to determine the outcome. Unfortunately, I think we've already ruled out the possibility of a big, like a more than two-player tie, which was still possible coming into this match. So we got Sauna for trashing. There's also Rats, but I don't really see that being relevant. Sauna's plenty good. And trashing Rats during your buy phase isn't exactly like the best. Likewise, I don't really think Miser comes into play. Royal Blacksmith certainly could, though. But oh, there's Pawn for plus buy. Okay, so you can do stuff with that. There's not much village support, though. You just got the Sana Levanto stuff, basically. So both players could open double Sana if they want to. Obviously that doesn't get the trashing going, but it, you know, if you're concerned about making sure you get your saunas so you have some villages. Kaplane, however, opens Dungeon Silver. Huh. Topher picks up a second sauna. And Kaplane gets a first sauna. Okay. Yeah, I don't... I mean, Dungeon does help you cycle through your deck faster, but... I don't know that it does so faster enough that it's going to change how many saunas you're realistically expecting to pick up for the better. Or Avantos, for that matter. I think it's still going to be probably a 3-2 split here. Although, yeah, well, and I think you, well, yeah, I think you'd rather have more Sanos than Avantos here, which is often not the case, but because there's other draw in the form of Torturer and Royal Blacksmith. So right now it's looking like it's just going to go 3-2-2-3. Well, kaplane could whiff here. Definitely could happen. I do not agree that somebody should have had a second silver, just because you like the Sano Avanto split is so important, and I don't think a second silver does enough to. I don't think the trashing from a second silver does enough to offset the loss of an opportunity to buy a Sano or an Avanto. Now, granted, if you had if you didn't hit 4, then sure, go ahead and buy a silver, but meanwhile, I guess at the very least, kaplane's dungeon purchase did not hurt him. As second player, he wasn't expected to be able to come out ahead on the split anyway, and he still managed to pick up the 3 Avantos. So I guess the dungeon purchase worked out fine. Actually, Topher got a dungeon at some point too. When did that happen? Oh, he only hit 3 on turn 4. Okay, yeah. And so maybe from this is suggesting that Topher should have gotten a silver there, and that I probably wouldn't agree with either, because the dungeon is more likely to enable you to see your Sana and the silver that you already have and keep buying that stuff. Anyway, so what are we doing now? Buying pawns? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Gonna want to get that plus buy going. Probably well, so right now nobody really needs draw, and the torture curses aren't going to hurt very much because of the Sana trashing. So they can each kaplane can trash 2 cards a turn, Topher can trash 3. So what do you go for now? Do you go for Bakers? Do you just go straight for Groundskeepers? Do you... I mean, they need more economy. Baker has the advantage of being... not a stop card. But any card you add to your deck does decrease the chances of pairing up your Sanos and Avantos, though that doesn't matter if you don't add any terminals to your deck, which so far they have not done, and except for the 1 pawn potentially can be a terminal. Okay, so Topher just buys a gold, so he's okay with adding the stop card. Yeah, I mean, if you can consolidate the coppers into golds, you can obviously eliminate a lot of your stop cards that way. There's also battlefield points, so there's some argument for early greening. Though with the groundskeepers, the groundskeepers can potentially do as much or more work as the battlefield points. So maybe not. I think they are going to want to add more draw at some point, but I think now is not the time. Need to get more economy so that you can buy 2 big cards per turn, not just like something in a pawn or silver or a dungeon. Gold pawn. Does Kaplane have his dungeon in play? He does not, so that's potentially a little scary of a situation for him. Okay, I do like getting another dungeon. That'll help reliability. So, Kaplane... Oh, he drew his dungeon off of his first pawn. That's good. So he can play the second pawn for buy. So I could definitely see him doing the same thing. Gold dungeon. Yeah. So that way you get... Always have a dungeon in play. That'll help reliability a lot. So pretty much mirroring here. Kaplane does have one more pawn. I think they can't have the same number of coppers. I don't know what the exact distribution is. I think Kaplane played 3 coppers last turn. Yeah, so they did have the same number of coppers before Topher trashed one. So I guess arguably you could say Kaplane was ever so slightly ahead just by virtue of having the other pawn. But probably having the turn, like, probably the fact that Topher is going first is more significant. So, sorry, I missed what it. So Topher got another gold and a pawn, so now he's got the 2 pawns as well, and then 3 golds. Yeah, I mean, at some point, it's definitely correct to buy groundskeepers. Two golds. Okay, so now Kaplane is up a gold. How that happened, I'm not exactly sure. But that is significant, potentially. Alright, so 13 is enough for gold groundskeeper pawn. Yeah, that's actually a good point that a noob cards makes, is that you can buy estates and then trash them, and you get the battlefield points, you get the groundskeeper points. You don't need to necessarily have enough money to buy double province in order to make that good. But I would definitely like to see Topher pick up a groundskeeper here. Or a blacksmith. Too bad for Kaplane. He took the conservative play, which is probably correct, but turned out that his Sauna would have drawn his Avanto. I mean, I think the Royal Blacksmith buy is fine. I just would have liked Topher to pick up a groundskeeper. I might even argue that Topher should have gone gold groundskeeper Royal Blacksmith and skipped the 3rd pawn. if you wanted a groundskeeper. I mean, you could always get like a torturer instead too. Though you couldn't do like gold groundskeeper to torture. What turn are we on? Turn 12. So you got 2 buys here. I think go ahead and trash the other copper. No? Okay, he's just going to double province. So he's just going to skip groundskeepers. That's obviously going to put pressure on Topher. And with the 3 debt, Topher probably can't match him. I mean, I think they have the same economy at this point. They've trashed other coppers, I think. No, I guess Topher still has 1 copper, but that's not enough. Oh, he does have 3 pawns, and kaplane wasn't able to play all of his pawns for coins. So maybe that's enough. Action coin, action... Oh, action coin, coin buy, coin buy. Okay, so he only gets to 14. Yeah. So I think you go... It's too bad he only hit 14. If he could have hit 15 and do triple groundskeeper, then over the course of 2 turns, that's... You can use that to catch up. Well, maybe you can't, because maybe the battlefield points run out, and that offsets the groundskeeper points. I don't know. It's an awkward situation for Topher, for sure. That's one of the reasons the Royal Blacksmith was a dangerous buy, is like the fact that the like kaplane was able to see, oh, he's in debt, and that caps his purchase potential on exactly this next turn, which puts him in a bind. So, you know, good job on kaplane's part to notice and take advantage of that. I don't think that Topher is going to be able to gain groundskeepers quickly enough to mount the comeback. Though it depends on whether kaplane duds, of course. Does kaplane need the copper to... Oh, yeah, don't autoplay. Okay, yeah, he doesn't need the copper. I didn't think so, though it does mean he's dependent on getting those pawns for coins to be able to get his provinces. But and he definitely, like, at significant risk of dudding now that he's adding all this green to his deck, but he only needs 1 more solid turn to win the game, so that's probably a risk worth taking. It's definitely a risk worth taking. Topher once again doesn't have the actions to play all of his pawns for coin buy. I guess there's no real reason to expect that he ever would be able to. And he doesn't... It's not like he needs 4 buys. Well, actually, he could use 4 buys. He could absolutely have used 4 buys so that he could buy an estate. So that's unfortunate. Because he could really do with putting some VP chips on the mat to put him closer to catching up to kaplane here. Okay, so kaplane is 1 card short of drawing his deck. What is the last card? It's another province. Okay, which is actually great for him because Dungeon can discard it anyway. Also, now that he has 6 provinces, I mean, Topher has 5 groundskeepers, but that's not enough to come back. Like, if he buys 4 estates, well, if he somehow manages to get all of his pawns for buy and he buys 4 estates, he can't buy 4 duchies. So, I mean, he can buy some duchies. But basically, okay, here. Oh, okay, I guess that's one way to do it. I think you need that. Well, no, this is probably correct. So 3 duchies in an estate. Whoa. Okay, I guess that's fine too. 3 groundskeepers in an estate. So how likely is Kaplane to be able to get the last 2 provinces here? I would think fairly unlikely. But buying 1 province is still quite strong. Oh, maybe he is. What are those last 3 cards? Those are all provinces, aren't they? Yeah. Well played. Oh, he's a coin short. Why is he a coin short? He needed an action. Why did he need an action? He didn't chain. He didn't. Huh, okay. Yeah, well played on Kaplane's part. I think that was. Um, yeah, I mean, Kaplane definitely got lucky to manage to pull that off 4 times in a row, but I don't think he was. I think he was reasonably likely to be able to get um, to hit it at least 3 out of 4 times. Yeah, it may it may also be that having the 3 Avantos was just better, even though it reduces the terminal space. But I think the fact that Kaplane could immediately know that he could hit double province and that he knew Topher could not match him was huge. And with battlefield points, um, that helps, like, that makes it even slower for the groundskeeper deck to ramp up to the point where its pace is allowing it to catch up with the deck that's ignoring groundskeeper. All right. So here we've got Kaplane opening with a 5-2 Spices Delve. That's certainly some money. Topher gets a Salvager and a silver. All right. So Salvager's the only trashing on the board, which means Sea Hag. Oh, there's Alter too. But that still means in theory Sea Hag should play. I guess they've just chosen to ignore it. Um maybe um I don't. Maybe diplomat is part of the thinking there as well. So you can certainly do some things on this board. There's journeyman and to a lesser extent diplomat for draw. You got festival to be your village. You got grand markets. You got altar to gain good cards. You got spices for fantastic payload. The uh, the big problem I think is going to be that just the speed of the trashing. A big problem might be overstating it, but that's going to be the thing that limits the build speed of the deck. But they're moving. They're picking up good cards pretty quickly. There's 4 altars gone. There's 7 festivals gone. I'm surprised there haven't been more journeymen picked up. Though there's some diplomats out. Actually, I wonder if if Topher has the tiebreaker over Akuchi, then I think, if I recall correctly, then Akuchi should not be capable of promoting. Yeah. Because at best he can tie at this point. Alright, I should probably try to focus on the game rather than the standings. It's being played very quickly. Um, Alright, yeah. Like I said, this game is moving super quickly. Piles are going super fast. Having lots of powerful cards will do that, I guess. And especially when nobody's playing the attack. Wait. Prefers conspirators to what? To grand markets? Surely not. rapidly approaching a pile out. Good gravy. Oh, the estate pile out. Okay, that was a super fast game that I provided absolutely no insight on. Holy crap. But I assume Kathleen did good things. Sorry for completely failing to keep track of what was going on. But I was paying a little bit too much attention to the standing situation. They definitely waited too long to green. Well, somebody did, presumably. Yeah, so coming back to the standings one more time, if so Topher is still at +4. So if Brian wins 5-1, then he will pull ahead and promote. If Akuchi wins 6-0, no, I'm sorry. If Brian wins 5-1, he'll pull into a tie. If he wins 6-0, he'll promote. If Akuchi wins 6-0, he'll pull into a tie. And so the question is just who has what tiebreakers. Which I don't know the answer to. Here, let's see if I can actually bring up. So, the way that I have this, you can't see everything, but basically, Topher won 4-2 against Brian, so he has the tiebreaker, so Brian needs to go 6-0 to promote. And Aku and Topher split, so as it was mentioned earlier, they would go to the second tiebreaker. All right, well, I don't know if I'll be doing this for Aku's match against Brian. For one thing, he does his own videos, so it's a little bit more redundant that way. But hopefully you enjoyed this match, and I'll see you next time for some more Dominion. Until then.